Hello. Wednesday Addams has been expelled from yet another school for normal children. Her parents, Gomez and Morticia, decide to send their daughter to Nevermore Academy for outcasts, where they themselves spent their youthful years. Wednesday intends to run away, but learns that her arrival at the academy was prophesied 30 years ago. A typical school day for Wednesday, Addams begins with an elaborate act of revenge after she finds her younger brother tied up in her locker. And the frightened boy refuses to tell his sister, who packed him up like a stuffed pig with an apple in his mouth. Wednesday is helped in finding the culprits by her sudden gift, the ability to see the past and the future, clearly seeing the faces of the attackers. Wednesday sets out to deliver retribution upon the athletes from the water polo team, taking with her 2 bags of bloodthirsty underwater predators. And with a cold gaze, she watches as the piranhas catch up to their victims. The Addams family manages to settle the incident without charges of attempted murder. However, they have to transfer their darling villainess to a new educational institution, Nevermore Academy for Outcasts, where Morticia and Gomez Addams themselves spent their distant youth. The Addams family is warmly greeted by the Academy's headmistress, Larissa Weems, who happily informs the family of Wednesday's enrollment and takes the girl to meet her roommate, the friendly Enid Sinclair, who rushes towards her with welcoming hugs, which Wednesday avoids. Enid tells the new girl about the local inhabitants. Fangs, also known as vampires, furs, also known as werewolves, like Enid herself. Scales, these are sirens, led by the self-proclaimed school queen, Bianca Barclay, who just broke up with the local artist Xavier, who can bring his drawings to life. After receiving her uniform, Wednesday goes to say goodbye to her family. Morticia, alone with her daughter, warns her against running away, a thought already racing through the girl's head. "I will escape from this educational prison, and you will never hear from me again." Her mother also leaves her a gift, an obsidian pendant used by Aztec priests to induce visions. Driving away from the school, the Addams family arranges for their pet spy, Thing, to keep an eye on their beloved Scorpion. Meanwhile, in the vicinity of Nevermore, Jericho Town Sheriff Donovan Galpin is investigating another tourist death. The crime scene is similar to 2 previous cases. Parts of a torn body are scattered at the scene. For all cases, the sheriff instructs his deputy to tell the press the version about a bear attack, which he, of course, does not believe himself. Galpin links the murder to Nevermore students, but cannot prove it yet. In her new room, Wednesday marks her territory with a complete absence of any bright colors and quarrels with her roommate Enid, who is her complete opposite. Cheerful, friendly, and open, yet also ready to release her claws when necessary. The girls' argument is interrupted by Marilyn Thornhill, who shows up at their room in dirty red boots. The teacher gives each new student a flower from her greenhouse, and for Wednesday, she prepared a black dahlia. Miss Thornhill announces a new rule, including one related to visits to the nearby town of Jericho, where Nevermore students are considered cursed freaks. Wednesday appears for fencing class. Confident in her superiority over any student at the school, she challenges the smug Bianca, who is just asking the coach to assign her an opponent of equal strength. The girls' duel immediately becomes the center of attention for those present, and worse for Wednesday, who unexpectedly suffers defeat. In the infirmary, a guy named Rowan speaks to Wednesday. He says that before Wednesday appeared, he was the outcast at the school for outcasts, a strange guy with asthma who can't find his place even here. Not wanting to continue the conversation, Wednesday hurriedly leaves the ward. But on her way to the campus, she hears movement on the roof, and looking up, sees a stone gargoyle falling on her from above. Xavier, who happened to be nearby, saves the girl from sudden death. Waking up in the ward, Wednesday sees Xavier in front of her. He tells the girl that he has now repaid his debt for saving his life. In childhood, they played hide-and-seek at his godmother's funeral, and he got the idea to hide in a coffin, which was immediately sent to the crematorium. Xavier would have been roasted alive then if Wednesday hadn't heard the screams. This story brings the first smile to the fan of torture and horror since her arrival at Nevermore. Tapping out new pages of her novel on the typewriter, Wednesday notices a strange movement on her bed. Throwing back the blanket, she sees her parents' spy, Thing. Threatening him with confinement in a desk drawer, Wednesday forces Thing to switch to her side and swear loyalty and assistance in escaping from Nevermore. By court order, Wednesday is required to see a psychologist. The Academy headmistress personally takes her to Jericho to Dr. Valerie Kinbot to prevent any escape attempt, which she still manages through the restroom window. Having escaped, Wednesday goes to a cafe where she makes a deal with Tyler. She fixes his rebellious coffee machine, and the guy, in return, promises to take the girl to the nearest railway station after his shift ends. But the planned escape fails. While waiting for Tyler, Wednesday attracts attention by having a confrontation with guys in pilgrim costumes. The appearing headmistress takes Addams away, and the sheriff immediately takes note of the girl because of her father Gomez, whom he considers guilty of murder. That same evening, the sound of Wednesday's flawless cello playing echoes across the Nevermore grounds. At the same time, the local outcast Rowan tears a page with a mysterious drawing from a book. Tyler finds the criminal case of Gomez Addams in his father's documents, and the sheriff himself tries to piece together the murder near Nevermore. Enid comes out onto the balcony at the sound of the cello, and the roommates have their first heart-to-heart conversation. Enid says she still can't fully turn into a werewolf and can only release her claws. Because of this, she might be left without a mate and spend her whole life alone. Wednesday shares the tragic story of her scorpion, Nero, who was run over by a bicycle in front of her as a child. Since then, she vowed never to cry again. At the weekend harvest festival, Wednesday again plans to escape with Tyler's help, who, before leaving, gives her the Gomez Addams case file he obtained from the archive. However, the escape is foiled again by the pilgrims from the cafe, thirsty for revenge. Trying to get lost in the crowd, Wednesday bumps into Rowan, and she has a vision of his death. Intending to warn the guy, she rushes after him into the forest, but finds herself in danger. Pinning her to a tree with telekinesis, Rowan prepares to kill her because of a prophecy from his mother. It says that Wednesday will destroy Nevermore. She is saved from death by a monster that appears, killing Rowan before her eyes. After searching the forest with dogs, the sheriff fails to find any traces of the murder or Rowan's body, and Addams's testimony raises his doubts. To top it all off, while they are talking about the monster, a whole and unharmed Rowan appears in the doorway of the Nevermore headmistress's office. After another session with Dr. Kinbot, Wednesday meets Tyler. It turns out he also sees a therapist by court order. Tyler admits to the girl that he believes the story about the monster, unlike his father. Returning to Nevermore, Wednesday learns from the headmistress that Rowan has been expelled and is leaving on the first train, and Larissa Weems orders her to choose an extracurricular activity by the end of the day. To avoid creating more problems, Wednesday sends Thing to follow Rowan's departure, and she herself goes to choose an activity, simultaneously trying to find out information about the deceased from the students. This is how Wednesday meets Eugene, the president of the beekeeping club, and stays for his activity. But at that moment, Thing appears and signals Rowan's departure. Catching him at his car, Wednesday realizes he has no intention of talking to her. Rowan tells her to leave him alone. Thing follows him to the railway station, where something inexplicable happens. Rowan enters a toilet stall, and a different man comes out, who, after walking some distance, transforms into Headmistress Weems. Sheriff Galpin continues the investigation and goes into the forest with his dog to look for clues. Wednesday also returns to the crime scene at the same time as the sheriff. Tyler saves her from a confrontation with Donovan. Examining the area, the girl finds Rowan's glasses, touching which triggers a vision. Incredible! I did it, so much of mine. My new desk, you psychopath. You're a madman. Returning to Nevermore, Wednesday immediately goes to the library to find the book from her vision. There, she is found by Miss Thornhill, who offers help. The girl asks her about the book with a mark, and learns that it is the symbol of the senior school society, Belladonna. Marilyn sees that Wednesday feels like an outcast and tries to connect with her. So she admits that she arrived a year and a half ago, and also feels like an outsider. Finding out that Rowan was Xavier's neighbor, Wednesday and Thing break into his room looking for the book. But she only finds her portrait in the artist's album, a strange masquerade mask hidden under the floorboards, and accidentally witnesses a conversation between Xavier and Bianca, who is turning the guy against her. Returning to her room, Wednesday finds Enid in hysterics. The day before the canoe race, she lost one participant, and now has no team. Wanting to humiliate Bianca after what she heard, the girl decides to participate in the race. Headmistress Weems welcomes the participants to the Edgar Allan Poe Cup. The teams must row to Raven Island, take the flag from the Crackstone Crypt, and return. And there are no rules, so all teams can play dirty. Bianca's team is helped by sirens, but the prudent Wednesday has prepared a weapon against them, a fishing net. Successfully reaching the island, the girl goes to the crypt for the flag, touching which triggers a new vision. On the way back, two teams compete for victory, Bianca's golden bugs and Enid's black cats. By ramming their opponent's boat, the black cats cross the finish line and take the cup. Hiding from the victory celebration, Wednesday accidentally finds the book from her vision in the hands of the Edgar Allan Poe statue. Easily solving the riddle on the page, the girl receives the key to the entrance of the Belladonna Society's underground lair and finds the book from which Rowan tore the page with the drawing. Barely grabbing the prize, Wednesday immediately falls into a trap set by the members of the elite Belladonna Society. However, under the masks and hoods are students we already know, led by Bianca. Studying the book in her room, Wednesday sees the second part of the drawing, which depicts a pilgrim. Another annual tradition of Nevermore Academy is to send students to the town of Jericho as volunteers for Outreach Day, and Wednesday, at the headmistress's insistence, is to play the cello there with the middle school orchestra. Upon arrival in Jericho, the girl runs into Xavier, whom she questions about his former neighbor, Rowan. The guy still doesn't believe the story about the monster and the murder. Wednesday shows Xavier the book with the drawing, and then he tells her that the pilgrim depicted on it is Joseph Crackstone, the founder of Jericho. Having received an important clue, Wednesday goes as a volunteer to the Pilgrim World, an improvised village of the first settlers, where Eugene from the Beekeeping Club also is. The girl is interested in the meeting house, which holds a collection of artifacts related to Joseph Crackstone. But volunteers are not allowed there, as the exhibition is under renovation. The only thing to do is to hand out taffy in traditional costumes. Eugene, instead of handing out risks to visitors, eats an entire tray himself. While doing this, he is caught by a trio of pilgrim bullies. Unable to hold back what he ate out of fear, Eugene vomits on one of them, after which the guys prepare to shackle him in stocks. However, Wednesday appears nearby and, easily dealing with the adversaries, rescues the boy. Touched, Eugene admits in response that he has no friends and no one has ever stood up for him. Wednesday takes her buzzing friend with her to break into the meeting house and study the Crackstone artifacts. Inside, she sees a painting depicting the girl from her visions with a book in her hands. Wednesday finds this book right there under one of the display cases, but it turns out to be a fake with empty pages. The failed investigation is interrupted by Ms. Oren, who informs Wednesday that the original book was stolen a month ago. Xavier is volunteering at the cafe, where Wednesday goes to talk to Tyler. The guy warns her not to get involved with the sheriff's son, but Addams doesn't listen. From Tyler, Wednesday finds out where the real meeting house of the first settlers was, and refuses his offer to go there together. Once there, Addams waits for a vision to come to her, and that's exactly what happens. Wednesday is transported 400 years back, to the times of Joseph Crackstone, who is about to execute her ancestor, Goody Addams, recognized as a witch by the Pilgrims. The girl, along with other outcasts, is locked in a barn and it is set on fire. Among the outcasts, Goody sees her mother, shackled to the floor. The tormented woman is ready to accept death, and her daughter asks her to save herself and avenge everyone. Waking up, Wednesday hears noise outside the gates. Peering into the distance, she suddenly sees a monstrous eye right in front of her. The girl chases after the monster and sees its footprints turn into human ones. As she examines them, Xavier suddenly appears behind her. Wednesday wants to show him her discovery, but the prints have been washed away by the pouring rain. Volunteers from Nevermore and Jericho residents gather for the grand opening of the Joseph Crackstone Fountain. Wednesday Addams, with her cello, takes her place with the orchestra. As soon as the performance begins, taking Thing as her partner, Wednesday breaks into the morgue to examine the victim's body and notices that the old man is missing his left foot. Her investigation is interrupted by the arriving sheriff and the doctor, who shows Galpin the severed foot preserved in a jar. The materials about the victims copied from the morgue are hung up in her room by Addams, and Enid is very displeased with this sight. But Wednesday enthusiastically tells her about her discovery. The killer is collecting body parts from the victims, cutting them off with a surgical knife. A dance is planned at Nevermore, which the students discuss in Miss Thornhill's class, where Wednesday is paired with Xavier. She notices deep scratches on his neck and decides to follow him after class. This is how Addams learns about the guy's secret hideout, which he frequently visits. Breaking inside, she discovers portraits of the monster, and, stealing several drawings, is about to leave when Xavier suddenly appears nearby again. The guy thinks Wednesday has come to invite him to the dance. With the goal of getting to know the main suspect in the serial killings better, she actually does so. Hearing this news, Enid squeals with delight. She immediately suggests her friend buy a new dress and takes her on a shopping spree. But this interests Wednesday the least. She preferred to go to Sheriff Galpin with Thing, and on the way still saw a black dress in a store window that captivated her. While she was looking at it, she is found by Dr. Kinbot. In the sheriff's office, Wednesday says she has a suspect and shows him a drawing of the monster that strikingly matches the photographs in the case file. Addams offers cooperation, which Galpin agrees to if she provides evidence. Leaving the police station, Wednesday meets Tyler, who has already heard about the Saturday dance. Addams says she invited Xavier, which visibly upsets the guy. After telling her about his feelings for her, he hears in response, "I have a lot on my plate right now. I need to prioritize." Wednesday moves her detective board to beekeeper Eugene, who recognizes a familiar place in one of the drawings and leads his friend to a cave in the forest. Going down there, Wednesday realizes it's the monster's lair and finds a clue there, its claw. Now all that's left is to obtain the suspect's DNA, for which Addams returns to Xavier's hideout and finds his dried blood there, but doesn't manage to leave unnoticed. Caught off guard, Wednesday openly voices her suspicion that she thinks Xavier is the monster, to which the guy replies that he sees it in his dreams. And when he was drawing the last picture, claws suddenly appeared and wounded him. Realizing the dance invitation was insincere, Xavier makes Wednesday leave. Addams brings the obtained evidence to Galpin for analysis, and instead of going to the dance, she suggests Eugene set up an ambush near the cave. But Thing has other plans for his mistress, and slips an invitation from her to Tyler. While other students gather for the dance, an unsuspecting Wednesday is about to set up the ambush, and, hearing a knock on the door, is surprised to see Tyler on her doorstep. Thing not only arranged the invitation, but also stole a dress for his mistress, in which she decides to go to the dance after all, canceling the planned trip to the cave with Eugene. Appearing on the dance floor, Wednesday draws the gazes of everyone around, including Bianca and Xavier, who arrive together. Watching Wednesday and Tyler, Xavier becomes furious with jealousy. The final dance at the ball at this time turns into a blood-red spectacle, orchestrated by the mayor's son of Jericho and his friends. And at that moment, Wednesday has a vision that Eugene is in danger, which she reports to Miss Thornhill, who appears next to her. Rushing into the forest to help her friend, Wednesday still fails to save him from the monster's claws. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next cool recap.